Good morning, everyone. I welcome you on board today for the session that is iVend Handheld for effective inventory planning. Myself, Rajesh, I'm going to take you through the new, the incorporation that we have with the iVend handles, which we have added to our iVend 6.2, and this is actually one of the best feature that the retailers are looking for in terms of handling their inventory on the shop floor. This makes their life very easy in terms of making some transactions related to inventory. So first of all, thank you so much for joining this session today and taking some time out of your important schedules. And we hope that we will be starting it, with a good pace, and we will be covering all the topics that we have today in tray. And of course, we are going to record this session for your, for your benefits, and also we are going to upload it to the sites so that you can download and you can benefit with this particular video. So once again, without taking much time, I will straight away move to today's agenda that we are going to cover upon. So in the agenda today, we have something related to iVend Handheld. Handheld is actually one of the best practices which are available for the retailers across the globe, and they use it very effectively in order to minimize the efforts on their store level or at their shop level. So basically in today's agenda, we are going to cover the overview of iVend Handheld. We are going to talk about the licensing and the software prerequisites that we have in the iVend Handheld. Transactions on iVend Handheld we are going to look upon, and we will definitely see the login to the handhelds, that how easily or effectively you can log into this particular iVend Handheld. Then we'll talk about certain transactions like GRPO. We'll talk about the stock transfers that we could make using this particular handheld devices. We'll talk about the stock managements that we have, like goods receipts and goods issues. And of course, we have some goods return transactions which we could make straight away against our vendor. And then last but not the least, we look upon the stock take process, which is very essential for every retail practices, because without having a stock take in place, we can never have a track of our inventory across the shop floor and in our systems. And finally, we'll talk about the synchronization with the store server. So basically, it's very, very important for everyone over here over the session to understand that how synchronization works from the iVend Handheld to the specific store area. So basically, we will talk about, first of all, the prerequisites and the licensing components for the iVend Handheld. So as I said, that the overview of iVend Handheld, and of course, before the prerequisites, I just want to have everybody notice these points which are very, very important for iVend Handheld. This module of iVend Handheld would work only with iVend POS 6.2 version onwards, and this will allow your user to manage store inventory using the handheld devices. And of course, first and foremost, it's very, very important to know everybody that these handheld devices would be running on Windows Mobile operating system version 6.0 or 6.5. So this is the basic Windows Mobile version that you should have in your mobile devices, that is your handheld devices. We should not call it as a mobile POS, because it's not a mobile POS. It's actually a Windows handheld device which would be used for inventory transactions over the shop floor. So we should take a note of it. Then we have following inventory transactions that could be performed over the iVend Handheld mobile straight away on a device which is a Windows Mobile OS device. So we could do these transactions like we have goods receipts, we have stock transfers, managements, that is stock managements, goods issues, goods receipts, then we have returns to the vendor, stock takes, and the item lookup. So these are the main transactions that could happen on a handheld device, and which is actually, I must say, one of the best practice that we have added to iVend Retail Solutions straight away. Earlier, we used to have so many requests from our partners and customers to incorporate this particular feature in iVend, and now finally we have made it available in our iVend 6.2 to benefit them like anything in the retail shop floor. Now, moving ahead, I would like to talk about the prerequisites for iVend Handheld. The basic prerequisites for iVend Handheld, everybody. First of all, I should start with a very important note here that you should have a license from CD Access in order to run this particular device. Okay, so on your shop floor, you have to make sure that you have these specific licenses to use this iVend Handheld mobile devices. Prerequisites, if I talk about, first of all, a very important thing, as we all are aware of, that iVend should be installed, of course, yes, because without having iVend in place, you would not be able to use the iVend handhelds. The second thing is, of course, we have iVend Handheld mobile could only be installed on a Windows 6.0 or above. That means we would prefer you to have the Windows mobile OS that is 6.0 or 6.5 preferably. Now, before installing this particular device, you have to make sure that you have iVend API service installed and running. I would again repeat that iVend API services should be installed and running in order to use this particular mobile device, that is the iVend Handheld module device. And we have two types of setups available in the system. One is the emulator. Basically, if suppose you are going for some demonstrations or if suppose you would like to see actually what is the reflection of this particular iVend Handheld, then we have an emulator available in the system. That means it's not available straight away in the installer of iVend, but definitely you have to procure it from some of the other sources. If suppose you need the help of CD Access in order to gather the executables for the emulators, then we could definitely provide this to the partners, of course, to the customers as well up to some extent if they need. And these emulators are actually available in the market. You can go to the specific websites and you can simply download the emulators of Windows so that you can work on those devices. These emulators are nothing but it's a kind of reflection that you can have of the iVend Handheld, and it will be giving you the right look and feel of the handheld devices that you use on the shop floor. So, and of course, apart from this, you can use the handheld devices, which are the physical devices which could be configured over the network with your system. That means with your store server or with your enterprise server. So basically, handheld devices could be connected to your enterprise server or could be connected to your store server. You have to make sure that it is on the same network as your enterprise is or as your store is. So it should be on the same network, preferably the Wi-Fi, of course. So it should be connected on that. Last but not the least, I would like to mention here is the SQL Server port should be opened. That means for SQL Server, we have a very specific port that we all are aware of, that is 1433. So that port should be opened in order to communicate this particular device to my iVend Retail Store or iVend Retail Enterprise. Okay, so these are the prerequisites. First of all, those are very important in terms of iVend Handheld. And also, I would like to make a very important note here. The number of devices you are going to use, you would require those number of licenses of iVend. So let's say on store, if I'm using two devices, two iVend Handheld mobile devices, then I would require 2 licenses of these handheld. Okay, so if I have, let's say, 10 stores and each store has 2, then you can calculate according to that. So if I'm using 2 handhelds at one store, then I require 2 licenses. Okay, so it is device wise license. So if I talk about the licensing component, the iVend Handheld is device wise licensing policy that we have given for the iVend Handheld. Now, moving ahead with the iVend and Handheld. First of all, I would like to show you something on my screen, but I would like to show you that when you install iVend component, okay, when you install iVend, so it will automatically install your handheld setup files in the program files where your iVend is located. So when you go to the iVend program file CD access, C drive, program file CD access, iVend retail, you can find the Handheld installation files. So here there are certain things which is important in order to configure the device and in order to run this device. Just to keep this thing in your knowledge, that the complete Handheld configuration knowledge article we have already posted to our City Access Knowledge portal. So you can straight away go to our portal and you can download the materials which will help you in order to configure this particular device. At any point in time in future, if suppose you have any queries related to the handhelds, or if you are facing any problems configuring this particular device, you can contact me, or you can contact City Access Support Desk, or of course you can contact our City Access Knowledge portal. So we would be happy to serve you with that. So you please feel free to contact us in terms of configuring this particular device at any point in time. There is a specific document, as I said, that we have already published on the knowledge portal, so you can download and use that particular document. Now, when you will install iVend component, what will happen is automatically system will install these files here. So you can see there is a Handheld installation files. Before moving into this, make sure that you have iVend APIs configured. You should have iVend APIs configured on this machine in order to run the handheld device. Now here, most importantly, you can see there is a configuration XML available for the retail settings. So before moving ahead, you need to click on this, you need to edit it, and you have to specify the SQL connection user and SQL connection sources and iVend API sources. These two fields you have to preferably fill in order to move further. Remember, in the SQL connection, you have to specify the ID of the SQL, password of the SQL. You need to show us the data source, that where exactly your SQL is installed. If suppose it's a store server, then please specify the store server ID where your SQL is located. Then definitely you have to specify the database name of the iVend. Let's say it's a store component, then please specify the store component. And if it is an enterprise, then specify the enterprise database name. Okay. Then you have to very importantly specify this particular URL, which is nothing but a WSDL file. This is an API URL which you have to specify. So when this installation will be done, you will be able to see only this part, okay, only this part without having the server name. So you need to specify the server name here, and you have to make sure that it is iVend API/API.svc, and then you can save it. Okay, so you must actually configure this first. Once you configure this, you can just click on cancel and you can save the changes. And once you save these changes, you have to make sure that you are resetting your iVend APIs. So how do you reset your APIs? You simply have to click on IIS reset. You need to set your IIS. Okay. Please click on the run. Okay. Windows run, and specify the IIS reset, and you just need to run it. So once you run it, it will be ready for work. Like it will be ready for your communications between your handheld device and between your static store. So basically what you are supposed to do here is you have to specify the complete information about your handheld, and then you need to make the changes in the XML file. Now after doing this, this is the emulator. If suppose you have a physical device, then take for do this practice on the physical device, or you can simply open your Windows mobile emulator. And I already have this emulator open, so I will just open it straight away. So this is my Windows device emulator, and okay, there is a question from Sergio that I think the configuration is too low level. Can't this be done automatically? No, this has to be done by a user as a configuration. So if suppose it comes under the implementation practices, then definitely we are going to we are going to make this particular configuration during the implementation process. Else you can find the material in order to configure this. Okay, so definitely you have to make these configurations. Now once you make the changes, you have to set up those files in this particular program. Okay, so you will simply go to the configure. This is the configuration place. Here you have to specify the shared folder where you have the installation files, and then you can click on OK. You have to make sure that the network which you are connected on is completely actually as per your network. Okay, and you have to make sure that the Wi-Fi network, if you have, then you have to select the exact Wi-Fi network controller, that what exactly it is, and then you can move ahead. Then what you have to do is you need to go for the Windows button. Here you can go to the File Explorer, or you can go to the Programs first, and in the Programs you will find the File Explorer. The steps which I am trying to explain you are already available on our help file, that means on our configuration file, which is available on the knowledge portal, so you can use that. Now here you have to make sure that you are pasting the same retail settings file which you have actually given or which you have configured already in C program file city access folder. Okay, the same you have to configure here. Okay, if API server is somewhere else, then please make sure that you are giving the API server address in this retail settings. So when you open this retail settings, everyone, you can see there is API data source that we are specifying. You need to make sure that that API data source is completely specifying here. You need to give a service URL in order to work it on a handheld. So basically this is how you can specify this. Now once you do this, you are done with this configuration, and now you can go back to the main menu, and in the main menu you can go to the Windows, and you can see there is an iVend Handheld. So you can click on iVend Handheld. When you click on iVend Handheld, it will open a login page. Okay, so in the login page, you have to make sure that you are specifying the user ID password of the user who is actually authorized to use this particular handheld device. Okay, so you can simply specify the user ID and password of the user who is going to use this particular emulator or maybe the physical device. Okay, so first of all, everybody, this is the initial screen which you can see on the emulator or on the mobile device or on the iVend handheld device. Okay, the user setup would definitely be happened in the iVend standard security users. Okay, the user setup will be done under standard iVend security users. So you can see the normal users which we create in iVend is the security user right here. So it will be the normal security user which we have. Okay, and of course, you know, everybody knows that before making a security user, we have to make sure that this user is actually available as a user in my employee card. So he must be an employee first, and then I have to make him as a security user in the system. Okay, okay, so I'm just trying to open the login screen. Please let me know once you are able to see my mobile emulator. All right, so now I think it's visible to everyone. So first of all, when you try to connect this device with your enterprise, I'll take two examples here. I'll take an example when you connect this to your enterprise, then I'll take an example when you connect this to your store. So when you connect this to your enterprise, what will happen is it will show you the complete list of warehouses those are associated with your head office. Okay, so you can have multiple warehouses. All the warehouses will be listed here in this particular selection criteria. So you have to select for which warehouse exactly you're doing it. On the other hand, if suppose I'm connecting my device to my store server, so it will make sure that my store server is actually visible on this particular screen. So in terms of the explanation here, if suppose my physical device is connected to my store database, then it will show me only one selective warehouse, that is my store warehouse only. And if I am on an enterprise side, then I would be able to see the list of warehouses. No, to answer your question, there's a question that can you default it to specific warehouse based on the user. So basically, iVend users are available, across. Okay, so basically, whenever you will log in, you have an option to select the warehouse. Okay, so it depends upon the device. Let's say your device is connected to your store server. Let's say you have two stores, store A and store B. Okay, and there is a user called 001. That user is connected to store A. Okay, so when that device is connected to store A, and when that user tries to log into this device, so it will automatically give me the selection criteria of the warehouse as A only store A, because right now my device is connected to the database of store A. Similarly, if the same user goes to another store and picks this particular emulator or picks this particular device, what will happen is that device is connected to that store database. That means to store B database. So when I will log in as a user over there, I will be connected to store B database, but not to store A database. Basically, if I talk about usability, everybody here, these devices will be connected to the store servers. Okay, if it is connected to the store server, then you will be able to see only that store. And if it is connected to the enterprise, then you will be able to see all the stores including your warehouse. Then it's up to you that which warehouse you are going to select. So to make the doubts clear here, if the device is connected to enterprise database, then you will be able to select any warehouse out of it. But if the same device is connected to store database, then you will be able to see only that store database, and you will be able to make the transactions for that store only, but not for the other store. So for the sake of demonstration, I have the warehouse called Avenues, which I'm going to use for this demonstration. I'll click on OK. So when I click on OK, this is the initial screen which you can see on the mobile device. That means on your iVend handheld device. So these are the operations which we can operate on our iVend handheld. Just to take you back to my presentation. So basically, as I explained you that warehouse selection drop down would be available in both the cases, but in case you are connected to enterprise, then you will be able to see all the warehouses. And in case if you are connected to store server, you will be able to see only that store warehouse. Okay, so now, so you can see basically what we can do here is we can straight away go to the emulator, and we can see on the emulator we have all the criteria available as far as the inventory transactions are concerned. So you can make goods receipt, purchase order, you can make the stock transfers, you can do the stock management, you can do a goods return to the vendor, you can look your item information, you can make a stock take, and you can see about your store, and you can click on exit. So these all are the options available in your system. Okay, so first of all, I would like to take you through all the transactions. Okay, I just want to show you all the transactions that could happen on this particular handheld, and as a demonstration I'll pick some transactions which I will perform, and further you can just install this component on your demo machines or on your let's say on your the demo stacks, and of course on a demo PC, and if you have iVend 6.2 installed on that, you can straight away connect these emulators to that particular version and you can use it. Okay, so for the sake of demonstration, first of all I will take you through the first transaction of iVend handheld, that is goods receipt against the purchase order. So basically in the normal cases, what happens, everybody, if suppose you do not have a handheld, you simply go to a store component, you open a management console, and you go to a traditional way of selecting the GRPO, selecting the PO out of it, copying all the items to the GRPO, and making the transaction on the point of sale. So on the management console, of course, not on the point of sale. So basically there were three traditional methods which were available earlier in iVend. First was you can manually give the item quantity which you are receiving. The second is you could scan the items by clicking on the clear receivables on the management console. And the third option was to import the file in order to receive the GRPOs. But now we have added the fourth option, that is the handheld option. Now let's see how this handheld option is actually very useful in terms of GRPOs, and how it is synchronized to iVend handheld, and how it is synchronized to iVend management console. So without taking much time, let me quickly take you to the GRPO section. Click on the GRPO. It will open a section page where it will show you the PO. So if suppose you have a purchase order with you, you can simply scan the purchase order right here, or you can click on this lookup. It will give you the list of purchase orders which are available with you. You can select that purchase order. Now when you come to this criteria, this particular area, you can simply scan the item code. Okay, this is the scanning area for the device. So here you can scan the device, scan the item, sorry. And in case you are not actually using the actual devices, you are using an emulator, then you can click on this item code. It will show you the items which are on this purchase order. It will not show you the complete list of items which are available with your organization. It will show you only those items which are available on the purchase order. So let me select this item which is available on the purchase order. Okay. So let's say I will select this item, and let's say you can specify the quantity to it. Okay. And you can press on enter. So when you press on enter, what happens is this item will be added to the particular row, and it will show you that what exactly the quantity that you are receiving and what is the actual order quantity. Okay. So if suppose I would like to make change in the quantity, I can simply go and click on it. So let me take the item code again, and I can say 4 quantities I would like to add on the top of it. Okay. So now I'm saying that instead of 4, I'm receiving all. Okay. So I have 2 lines. Okay. In the first line, I'm saying I'm trying to receive 1 quantity. In the second line, I'm trying to receive 4 quantities. At the similar case, I would like to show you one more case here. If I cancel this, and if I go back again to the goods receipt PO, and I scan the same purchase order, if I scan the same purchase order, so it will again pick that particular purchase order for me. Now I can scan my item straight away here. I can have 3 types of items in the system. One is the general item, which is actually a plain vanilla general item. It is not serialized, it is not batch controlled item. If it is serial controlled item, then it will take me to a separate set of window which I will show you in the goods receipt. Then if it is a batch controlled item, it will take me to the another window where I can receive the batches. Okay. So I will select the item code which is available. I will put the quantities which I am receiving, because it is not at all mandatory that if the ordered quantity was 5 and I am being delivered with the same 5 quantities, you could make the partial receivings as well. Definitely it depends upon the number of items which are being sent by the vendor. So now when I click on save, so what will happen is it will give me a message that transaction completed successfully. Now I would like to see the same kind of synchronization into iVend management console. So this practice I have done on a iVend handheld device. Now I would like to see the same kind of transaction in the iVend management console. What happens over there? So I'll simply go to iVend management console. I'll click on inventory transactions. As we all are aware of that, the iVend inventory transactions happens. iVend, I must say, the inventory moments happens under the inventory transactions. So you can simply click on inventory transactions and go to GRPO. Why I am going for a goods receipt PO? Because I have recently received a GRPO which has been turned from a purchase order. When I click on view, you can see that this particular purchase order I have received in my store. So I have received it using a particular physical mobile device or using an emulator. Okay, so you can see this particular GRPO has been received now. Now I can print the labels using the normal iVend practices. Okay, so Handheld we are using just to receive the stock straight away on our doorstep at the store level, so that it will back to back create a GRPO in the iVend management console. So the case will be the same even if you make a transaction as a purchase order in SAP Business One, marking for a specific store. So you can straight away come to iVend mobile device, that means iVend Handheld. You can scan the purchase order and you can make the goods receipt on the handheld device straight away. So it will again back to back create a particular GRPO in the system, in the management console. Okay. Now, this is a GRPO transaction that we have seen. Apart from this, there are so many other transactions which we can perform on the screen. So you can see here, everybody, that we have created a GRPO. This was the first screen that we have come across in the emulator or on the mobile device. This is the GRPO second screen where we are receiving the items, and this is actually the replication, or I must say the synchronization or the synchronized iVend management console document which has been created as a GRPO against this particular handheld device. So whenever we receive anything on the handheld device, this will come as the same document in the iVend management console. Similarly, we have other transfers available in the system. Now, when I talk about the stock transfer, typically in the stock transfer using the handheld, we do two types of transactions. The first type of transaction is the stock transfer shipment that we can do. The second type of transaction which we could do is the stock transfer receipt. So in terms of stock transfer, we have two documents which we can create in the handheld device. Okay, so first is the shipment and the second is the receipt. So we'll see one by one these operations. Basically, we'll see the stock transfer shipment and I will explain about the stock transfer receipt as well. So for the stock transfer shipment, let's see how this works for iVend. Okay, when we use the particular handheld device. So let's say I am in one store and I would like to send some items to another store using the handheld device. So I'll go to the stock transfer menu here. Here I can have two types of options. One is shipment, one is receipt. I'll click on stock transfer shipment. Now here the reference number has to be given by the person, definitely. Okay. So when you give the reference number, yes, I got a question from Arun here. Can we design process like PO from SAP B1, GRPO from handheld and label printing from MC? So this is a standard practice, Arun. Definitely yes, you can actually have this process in place wherein the purchase order is being created against a store and the GRPO is being done using the handheld and the label printing is happening from MC. Yes, this could be achieved very easily using the handheld practices and the standard iVend management console practices. Okay. So you need to specify a reference number here. Let's say I give a reference number as 1133. Now you have to select the to warehouse where exactly you are sending these articles or these items, right? So we can specify it. You can specify the item code. Now this area, everyone, this is the scanning area. Okay. So let's say here I am trying to send an article, and that article I'm going to specify the code for it because I do not have a scanner or I do not have a particular barcode right now. But if you have a physical device, then you can straight away scan the barcode, definitely. Okay, I specify the quantity here and I click on add row. So when I click on it, you can see there is an item which has been added to this particular list. Similarly, I can add one more item to it. I can specify the quantity, of course, and I can click on enter. Okay. So when I click on enter, it will add items. You can see it's showing line number 1, line number 2 with the quantities which I am actually giving here. Then you can click on save. Please remember this particular reference number. Okay, I'm making a stock transfer shipment from one store to the other. So I have used the handheld in order to make a stock transfer shipment from one store to the other. Now see the replication on the iVend management console. When you go to the iVend management console, you can click on inventory transactions and you can click on stock transfer shipment. Now here you can have the stock transfer open shipments which you have created. Okay, these shipments are open. Why? Because they have not been received by the store yet. So I'll just try to view it. So guys, you can see that we have a stock transfer shipment back to back created against a handheld. This is from this warehouse avenues to the general warehouse, and here you can see the reference number that I'm talking about. So this is the reference number which you have given on the handheld, and the same reference number will be copied to the reference number 1, and further it is ready for the processing. Okay, so here you can see that the shipment which I have created on a handheld has been made in the particular iVend management console. So this is how actually the stock transfer works for the iVend handheld. Okay, so we have created this shipment in the in the particular device, that is on the mobile device, and this is what the shipment has been created back to back in the iVend management console. Now similarly everyone, if you are receiving any stock transfer shipment from one particular store, then you can receive it at the at that store as well, at that static store as well. So this can be received like this, right? So the similar case, you just need to select the shipment number. So in terms of receipt, you just need to select the shipment number and you can simply scan your items and that will be added to this particular cart. So these type of two transfers that we can make using the iVend handheld, and rest of the stock movements can be achieved using the inventory transactions of a management console, that is a static management console. Now we will talk about a very important topic here, that is stock management. Stock management is again a kind of backbone for any inventory transactions. Okay, so in the stock management, what possibly the transactions we can perform in iVend handheld is the first of all the goods issue, and the second is the goods receipt. These are the two documents which can be created using the stock management device. Okay, so I'm just going to take you straight away to the iVend handheld device and let's see how we can perform these transactions. Okay, so I am going to show you a transaction that is goods receipt, and let's see how it is going to be linked with iVend management console. Let me minimize this and let me open this particular window, that is device emulator. I'll go to the stock management straight away here. In the stock management, as I said, we have two different options available for handheld. We are talking about handheld emulators and handheld devices. So definitely we have some limitations, of course, in terms of stock management, because these things can be possible on the handhelds. So let me take you to the goods receipt first. So I'll click on goods receipt. You can specify the goods receipt reference number. So let's say the reference number, I take it as GR1122. This is the reference number. And here I'm going to specify a specific item code which I'm trying to receive on my store. Okay. So let me specify a serialized article and a batch article for this goods receipt. Okay, so that I can also show you how the serialized items and the batch control items can be received on the iVend handheld or can be shipped out of it. Procedure would remain the same, but I will show you the goods receipt for the sake of this demonstration. Let's say I'll pick one item which is a serialized item in my system, and I simply say that I'm going to receive 2 quantities of it, and I'll say add row. So guys, when I click on add row, system will take me to a new screen where I have to specify the serial numbers. Okay, so now this area is the area where you can scan your serials which you are receiving on your management console. Okay, so I'll specify simply the serial number. Let's say I'll specify a serial number SN001 for the first serial. This is what I can scan on this area. Now there's another serial which I'm going to receive is SN002. So there are 2 serials which I'm going to receive against one item code, and I can simply click on OK. So you can see that 2 serials have been added against this particular Canon power shot. Now similarly, at the same time, I'm going to receive one batch control item on the same GR. So the batch control item in my system is this. I say I would like to receive 10 quantities for this particular item, and when I click on enter, it will show me a batch window. Here I can simply scan the batches. Okay, so let's say the batch ID I give here as this, and when I tab it out, it will automatically take the quantities at S10. Of course, if you're scanning, then it will take in the same place, but right now I'm just trying to give the batch code, and when you press on enter, it will add the quantity to the cart. Now you can press on OK, so that it will be listed to my particular grid, which is actually a transaction grid for me. And now similarly, what I can do to move ahead is I can click on the save button so that it will be saved. So when you click on save, you can see that transaction completed successfully. So we have actually received an item, 2 items in fact. One item is the serial control item, one is the batch control item. We have seen how we can perform these transactions on the handheld. Now let's see what is the synchronization or what is the impact on management console. So I'll go back to the management console, and I have done a stock management. In this stock management, I have received some items using the handheld. Now see how this document will be created back to back. So this is the document which we have created. Remember, the reference number for this document was GR1122. The items which we have received is 100119, 100190, and from here now you can print your labels. Okay. So you can see that automatically my items have been copied to a particular item label printing, which is a standard functionality of iVend management console. I have clicked on the print labels and it has taken me to this particular window where I can actually print my barcodes. Okay, so you can press on OK, so it will give you the list of barcodes and can be printed straight away on a Zebra printer, or it could be printed on a on any printer, like it should be a barcode printer of course, and if suppose you are printing it in an A4 size printer where you have 3x8 labels available, so you can do that as well. Okay, so this is how actually it looks in the iVend management console. So you have made a goods receipt, so it has created a back-to-back goods receipt in the iVend management console against that particular store. Similarly, if we go back to our presentation, we can make the same kind of transaction for the goods issue. Okay, so goods issue can also be performed using the handhelds, and the same kind of transactions would be back-to-back synced with the iVend management console. Similarly, we have goods returns to the vendors. If suppose you would like to return some goods directly to the vendor, then also you can do this using the iVend handheld, and goods can be directly returned to your vendor, and you can of course verify this in the system. And this option is available at the level of stores, of course, where you can make a goods return directly to the vendor. Okay, And if, of course, if suppose you would like to make the goods returns directly from a centralized warehouse, then that is also available. Like the earlier options would also be open. We are not closing any other options of inventory transactions, any manual options. And if suppose you would like to use these new options using the iVend Handheld, of course, yes, it will ease the operations on the store level. Okay. The next important topic, and the one of the best thing about the Handheld, which I think in my perspective is the stock take. Ultimately, if we talk about the PDT devices, those devices will be used by the users in most of the cases to make a stock entry or a stock take, correct? So the stock entries can be done using the goods receipts and STR, so many processes. But if we talk about stock take, this would be store wise, correct? So let's see how the stock take could be performed using the Handheld in iVend Retail. So I will reopen the Handheld emulator. This is the iVend Handheld emulator. I'll make a stock take. Okay. Now, when I do a stock take, first of all, we have to make sure that we are specifying a reference number to it. Okay. So the stock take reference number could be anything. You can specify a stock take reference number. Now here you have to scan the item against which you would like to make a stock take, correct? So you can specify the ID of the item. So I'll simply go here, I'll specify the item code. I will specify the quantity, of course, that let's say I have 90 items that I have seen. I'll press on enter. Now similarly, I am picking one more item with, let's say, 102 in quantities, and I simply save this. Now I would like to show you something interesting here, everyone. Let's say my person is doing an inventory count on the store. All of a sudden he feels that he should take a break for a while, correct? So he could save the same kind of document in his emulator or on his device. It will create a back-to-back, the transaction in my management console, but it will not reconcile my inventory, because the reconciliation is only allowed in the iVend management console. The stock take, the counting can be done using the PDTs, and that will be actually entered in the counted quantity field of my inventory counting. So right now you can see the show in-store quantity is 19, but my counted quantity is 90. If I look at the difference, then I have a huge difference, correct? I say that on my floor I can see 90, but in my in-store quantity in my system is showing as 19. Similarly, the counted quantity I find 102, but here it is 17. Now let's say after, let's say, an hour or so, that person comes back for making the stock take with another items, correct? So he's actually continuing with his stock take process. So see how it affects. When you go to the stock take, you need to specify the same reference number against which you are making the transactions earlier. So I'll give the same reference number. This is very, very important. Now I add one more item to this cart. I say let's say I have only 5 quantities of this item available on the floor. So I add it to the cart. Similarly, I pick one more item and I say I have only 2 items or the 2 quantities available on the shop floor. Okay. So now, okay. So there is a question, very nice question, that how will you remember that number? Perfect. For remembering that number, you have to make sure that you are taking that reference from the iVend management console. Okay. As I have shown you that the number which you have saved, the stock transfer number, when you go to, sorry, not the stock transfer, the inventory count number, when you go to iVend management console, when you click on inventory counting, okay, when you click on inventory counting, you can simply view that this counting number is ST0002. this is the number which I have to refer to. Okay, so even if I forget the number of my counting reference text, I can go straight away to my management console to which I am connected with my device. I can open the inventory counting and I can simply see what is the ID. Okay, so this ID is actually my counting ID. So this counting ID I specify here, and I can keep on scanning from there on. And when I click on save, so see what happens. Back to back, this is going to be saved in my warehouse. Okay. So I can simply select this particular counting document, and when I click on view, you can see simply 2 items have been added now to the tray. Okay, 2 additional items have been added to the tray. Okay, if suppose 2 different people are making the inventory counting, then it happens in the same way. It keeps on adding the items to the same batch. Okay, so you can have multiple users also using the same kind of setup at the same go. Okay. No, so far we don't have that enhancement. Then of course, yes, we assure that we are going to have that in future, that on PDA itself you can see that number. Okay, so basically what happens is you have to go to this particular screen of stock, take, and of course you have to mention this particular count reference number. Of course, yes, for the future enhancements, I can take this into the consideration. I'll definitely speak to the product team and see if we can incorporate that into the system. Okay. Sure, Edward. Definitely, we'll do that. Definitely, I'll speak to the product team and we'll try to incorporate that into the system. So this is how basically now you know what happens is, once you make the inventory counting document, does it reconcile automatically using the PDAs? No, it doesn't reconcile the inventory. Why? Because I need somebody to make these reconciliations and make these postings into the system. So there are 2 steps here. These steps are actually the standard steps which are available in the inventory counting. You have to click on reconcile, so that you are saying that okay, the reconciliation is done, and then of course you have to click on reconcile inventory, okay, in order to make the adjustment entries. So until you select this reconcile inventory option, system will not adjust the quantity in your system as well as your physical stock. Okay, so definitely, you know, the counting can be done using the PDTs, but reconciliation has to be done from the iVend management console. We do not give an option of reconciliation using the handhelds. Okay, handhelds will only help you counting the inventory on the store. And of course, this counting, ideally everybody, the counting happens when your store is closed. Okay, and of course, if it is a very big supermarket or a big shop floor, then definitely the counting will be based on department wise, correct? So in that case, definitely when you are doing a stock count, first of all, your store will not be functional. That will be a non-functional hour, so that any sale happens, that will not affect your counting. The second thing is, even if your store is running, then you have to make sure for the department against which you are doing the inventory transactions, the items or the material should not be sold from that particular department. This is what the best practice of the retail that we can see. Okay. So actually, this was about the stock take which is available in the system. Now, before moving ahead, I would like to show you one important topic here, that is item lookup. At any point in time, everybody, if you would like to know the information of any one item in your system, you can simply click on item lookup. You can specify the item code of your item and you can tab it out. When you click on tab, you will be able to see the information of this item on your handheld. Isn't it great? If suppose you are on a shop floor, it's a very big shop, and your customer comes to you, one customer comes to you and he asks you that what is the price or what is the description and how much inventory you have for this item in your warehouse. Okay, so you can simply scan that item using the item lookup. Okay, and you can tell him, okay, this item is 90 of quantities which are available in my warehouse, and the price for this item is $24.95. Okay, so if you select, now there is one more important thing. Which price is it showing you? Okay, on the item lookup level, the price which is being shown is the selling price of the item. Okay, first of all, my system will consider the selling price. Okay, so let's say I have specified the item code here. Then what will happen is system will show me the item code, it will show me the description, it will show me the inventory count, that means the exact inventory which is available in my warehouse, and then it will show me the price. And of course it will be real time. Okay, because my device is actually connected to my store database using the API services. Okay, so all the things will be actually in real time. So this is very, very important as far as the item lookup is concerned. So definitely item lookup functionality is also available in our iVend Handheld. Okay, so basically these are the transactions which you can perform very well using the iVend Handheld methodology. iVend Handheld is available from the 6.2 version onwards, and of course for just to give you an information about the devices on which we have made the testing is we have made the testing of this complete package on a Motorola 9190G series and Motorola MC55A. These are the two devices on which we have done the complete testing of Handheld, and it works perfectly fine. I will again repeat, let's say if you would like to suggest your customers for the Handheld devices for iVend, then you can suggest two straight models, that is Motorola 9190G series and also Motorola MC55A. These are the two models which we recommend from our side. But as in case, what you can do is you can straight away tell your customers that the devices which are compatible with Windows Mobile Operating System 6.0 or 6.5 will be completely compatible with iVend Handheld, with iVend Retail Management Console. Okay, so the Handheld devices which has OS as 6.0 and 6.5 are completely compatible with iVend. But if you talk about the specific devices, then we are actually compatible and tested. I will say tested on these two devices. The one which I have named a while ago, that is 9190G series of Motorola and MC55A of Motorola. Okay. So this is basically about the stock take functionality of the iVend Handheld that we have provided and the item lookup. Now there is an important note that we have given for this Handheld. As I have shown you in the stock take, this is very, very impressive for the retailers, that using the Handhelds, what you can do is you can break in and break out, and you can run the inventory counting in bits and pieces, of course. So this is 100% available, and this is 100% integrated with the iVend Management Console. Now this is what we have added as a feature in our particular iVend Handheld. So so these are the features which I have shown you are available as on date, and we assure you that we are going to provide you so many other things in the iVend Handheld in the near future. If you have any queries or questions, you can raise your hand or you can write it on the chat window so that I'll be happy to serve you with. So now I'm open for the question answer sessions. If suppose you would like to ask some questions, you can ask straight away. Okay, there's a question. What were the Motorola units? Okay, the device name which we have tested on is Motorola 9190G series, and the other device which we have tested on is Motorola MC55A. This presentation will be available online, of course. We are going to upload it to the sections of our videos, so you can find this presentation over there. Okay, the documentation is available on the knowledge portal. You can look at the articles. Okay, we have actually published the articles related to this particular iVend Handheld, so you can straight away go and check for that particular article. It will give you more information about it. Oh, perfect. Rafael, that's a very nice question, which is related to the licensing. So basically, as I said, it's a license component, and any information related to the cost, you can straight away consult to our local CSM. So you can contact our regional CSM, which belongs to your region, so that you can get the price of this particular component. Okay. Thank you so much for your patience and your time, and we would assure you that we are going to have some more, not some more, many more presentations related to the new features of iVend in the near future, and we will definitely make you benefit with all these new features and the incorporations in the iVend retail. So once again, thank you so much for sharing your time today, and we will definitely meet again. Thank you so much. Have a great day.